The tracking capability of the DJI Mini 4 Pro is just fantastic, and in this video we're going to go through all of them so you know what tracking feature you should use in what scenario. So we have the spotlight mode and we have the point of interest, then we have the ActiveShots. ActiveShots was previously named Active Track in, for example, the DJI Mini 3 Pro, but in the DJI Mini 4 Pro it's called ActiveShots. And ActiveShots was previously divided up into two subcategories as well, but with recent firmware updates we got a third called Auto. So now we have parallel, manual and a brand new auto mode. So let's see what they all can do. We have different options when it comes to tracking. The first thing we can do, that is just to drag a square around us like this. And now we are tracked because we have this little rectangle around us, and we can exit the tracking by pressing that little X button. We can also activate something that is called subject scanning, and what subject scanning is enabling is that the drone itself is identifying everything that can be tracked, so you can just tap it and track it by pressing just the little button. And to activate subject scanning, we go into the menu and then we go to the control, and then we have the subject scanning. And now with subject scanning enabled, we can see that it's identifying me and I get a plus icon on top of me. So let's press the plus, and now we can see that we are tracked the same way as before. If we just leave it in this mode, we are in the spotlight mode. What the spotlight mode is doing is that it's just focusing on me all the time. So if I'm moving around, we can see that the drone is just following me and make sure to have me in the center. And if I move the drone, it's still gonna make sure that I am the one who is in the frame. And this is super handy if you're gonna fly somewhere and something is moving and I just would like to concentrate myself at moving the drone. Then I can just leave it in this mode and the drone will automatically keep myself in the frame. The next thing we have, that is a point of interest. And that will keep me in frame the same way as it does with Spotlight, but it will also introduce movements. So if we do this, then we can set how fast and in what direction should we move. And if I would like to move that way, and then I tap go, now the drone is going to move in a circle around me. And if I'm moving, it's still going to move around me as well. So if I approach the drone, it will still keep moving in that direction. If I then move another way, it will still continue in that direction. And I can even change the direction while we are flying. So I would like to fly that way instead, fast. And I can even increase the elevation if we want to. And I can even tell the drone to fly in another direction. And then whenever I release the joystick, it resumes. I press stop to stop. And then the last thing we have, that is the ActiveShots. And that is what was previously named Active Track in the DJI Mini 3 Pro, for example. But in DJI Mini 4 Pro, it's called ActiveShots. So let's press ActiveShots, and then we have manual, parallel, and auto. The manual one, that one is making sure that the drone is going to have the same heading towards me all the time. So if I tap ActiveShots, manual, and go, now we have this little thing at the bottom left. We have two different circles, one inner circle and one outer circle. And this is going to decide where the drone is going to be whenever it's tracking me. This can also be set up in the settings to decide where the drone is going to be and how far away from me it's going to be when it's tracking me. So let's go into the settings, and then we go to Smart Shot settings. And here we can see that if we are tracking a person, we're going to have two different circles, one inner and one outer circle. If we go to vehicle, we're going to have just one circle. So here, if we start with person, we can set that the inner radius, if we are on the inner circle, is going to be about 4 meters. I can change that up to 7. Let's have that at 4. And the outer circle is going to be maybe 8 meters. So now the drone is approaching me just because I set it to 4 meters. If we are on the inner circle, the height is going to be 2 meters, and the outer circle, well, then I can set that it's going to be at 7 meters. The camera motion, I recommend to have that to normal. If you have it fast, it can look a little bit jerky, and I don't really like it. You can experiment if you want to. Near ground flight, that allows you to fly further down than 2 meters of elevation above the ground level. I don't recommend that either because it's a lot easier to fly into the ground and I don't want to do that. So now after setting these settings, then I can go back. Now it says that the drone is going to follow me from behind. So if I'm now going to walk this way, now the drone will follow me from behind. And then if I set the outer circle, then the drone is going to go to the outer circle. I can go down if I would like to fly closer to the ground. And if I walk this way, it still says that it's going to be behind me. So now the drone is going to try to figure out where behind is. And this is depending on in what direction I'm moving myself. So now I would like to have the drone a little bit closer. So let's put it on the inner circle. The drone is going to approach me. And now it's still going to try to be behind me. If I change that, I would like to have it like at 2 o'clock. I can switch that one up to 2 o'clock. And the drone is going to keep itself about 2 o'clock from where I am all the time when I'm moving myself. But this is of course depending on that I am moving, because if I'm stationary, the drone doesn't know where to go. So now let's see, I would like to have it in front of me instead. And I'm going to move this way. Now the drone is going to try to figure out where in front of me is. While I'm keep walking, the drone will find a position in front of me instead. And then it's going to stay there. Now let's move that one to be closer to me and in front. And if I'm walking this way again, the drone is going to try to figure out what is in front of this thing that is moving. And the drone is going to approach me from the front instead and stay there. The next thing we have, if we exit this, and then we go to ActiveShots, and then we take parallel instead. So before we continue, I just need to discuss some issues that I discovered with the Smart Shots settings, and that is affecting the manual flight mode. So remember that we have the setting for the inner versus outer circle height of the drone. That is working all until you do any kind of manual inputs with the joystick to the heights. If you're, for example, flying in the inner or outer circle and then you adjust the heights manually, then the drone will not go back to use the heights you have set in the settings. So to be able to use that, if you have done any manual inputs to the height, then you have to stop the ActiveShots manual and then you have to reinitiate and activate it again. Then the drone will use the heights you have set. But if you're doing any kind of manual adjustments to the height, then the drone will fly and use that height that you manually set instead. So it's just important to remember. The next thing we have, if we exit this, and then we go to ActiveShots, and then we take parallel instead. The difference, I don't think that parallel is a good name for this, because what the drone is doing is that it's keeping the heading. So I would like to call this for headlock instead. So if I'm walking this way, the drone will always stay on that side. So it keeps the heading. It's not parallel because if I'm walking this way, the drone will not be parallel. It will keep its heading. It will still be aimed towards this geographical direction. Which is a really handy feature as well, but it's very misleading when it says parallel. And now I can just move the drone that I would like to fly from this side instead. And now the drone is going to keep this geographical orientation towards the subject that is tracking. And then we go to auto. And when we enable auto, what the drone is going to do now is that it's going to be self-determining how it's going to track me. So now it says that it's hold. That means that it's just going to follow me and hold the same direction towards me. And now it goes into helix. And now it's going to hold again. And if I'm moving here, the drone decides to do a helix because I'm moving in this direction. And when I'm in auto mode, I can't adjust any of the controls of the drone, either left or right or up and down. So everything is on autopilot when we are in auto mode. And as soon as you take exit, it goes back to spotlight mode. Spotlight mode is so it just keeps me in frame and makes sure that I am the one who the drone is filming all the time. And if you really appreciate this video, you can buy me a cup of coffee, for example. I dropped a link to that one in the description box below as well. And that enables me to make more videos like this, because DJI doesn't pay me anything to promote their products, and I think that is a shame. The next thing we can do, that is to see each other in one of these two videos I have here. The top video, well, that is the latest uploaded video I have, and the bottom one, that is the video that YouTube recommended to watch next. And I really hope we're gonna see each other in one of those videos. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Bye.